everyone, and welcome back to another chill chat conversation and another review of Married at First Sight season 14. This is episode 9. We are already at episode 9. That is crazy. And once again, this episode was so triggering. But yes, I'm going to start with Mark and Lindsey once again. I appreciated Mark for being able to reflect on the situation and try to find a balance between what he was feeling and also what Lindsey was feeling. I still think that he took the passive approach because I don't feel like he was all the way in the wrong, but sometimes it is worth being the bigger person for the sake of being able to switch moods and being able to move forward within the relationship. I was a little disappointed in the fact that Mark did all of the apologizing, because like I said, I do think that it was good for him to go ahead and switch the tone in which they were operating in, because they were episode 8, they were really kind of defensive towards each other and just kind of taking stabs at one another. Lindsey, of course, took way more than Mark did, and she didn't seem to feel like there was anything wrong with that. And even in this episode, she did not once apologize to Mark for anything that she had did. From her viewpoint, basically she feels that more time they are having fun, or she feel like they're having fun, Mark would do something to kind of take the fun out of it and be negative and complain. It kind of seems as if everything that she was complaining about Mark is the things that she was actually doing herself. And she never took accountability for her actions. She never even took accountability for everything that she was saying in the bathroom, which was some really offensive things. And so Mark was, he took her out to dinner to a place that actually, let me go back. When they first started communicating during this episode, they started off with dinner, and he had brought dinner home, kept trying to talk with her, and she was kind of just like, yep, no, yep. And that right there got to me, because, I talk about being a shutdowner all the time, and one of the things that came with that for me in my case is, is if I'm in shutdown mode, if you try to ask me anything, I'm pretty much responding the same way Lindsey was. Like I'll answer basic yes or no, kind of whatever. I'll be kind of very dry. And watching that really got to me, because I seen Mark trying to correct whatever was going on with them and try to shift gears. And he was trying so hard, and Lindsey was kind of just like stuck there. And that really gave me a different perspective, on just, you have someone who fought it's not even, I don't think that, I think they both took stabs at each other, but I don't think that Mark was the only one that was in the wrong. I think that Mark and Lindsey both was in the wrong, just because they did keep taking digs. But I feel like because Lindsey continued with the digs, that she did have a part in the reason why things went the way they did that night at the bowling alley. And so for her not to take accountability at all, and for her to be kind of like mute towards Mark, talking about, I'm still upset with you, after Mark is really trying to communicate with her, even though after I'm sure his feeling was hurt by that, everything that she was saying, everything he heard her saying, that will be offensive to anyone, hearing those things being said about them, especially coming from their significant other. But anyway, back to just like how she was responding. She was just very, very monotone, wasn't very interested in talking to him, and it just made me feel some type of way, because I've done that to people before, and it was hard for me to watch that, because like I said, I seen him trying so hard in a situation that really she should have been the one trying. But moving on from that, he asked her, did you see anything wrong with how you acted that night? And she was like, no, I feel like you was the one to suck the fun out of things. Every time we get to a point where we're laughing and having fun, you come in with the negative. And really, I feel like it's her that comes in with the negative. She always has something negative to say. Like, she has to remember that she the one that decided to approach Katina y'all already know my viewpoint on that. I think Katina was wrong in her response, but Mark wasn't the one who started off with the negativity. You know, she was the one who started with the negativity. So I thought that was very interesting. You know how, because I'm not going to call her I'm not going to call her manipulative. I'm not going to call her a gaslighter because I don't know her like that. Those are some really harsh words to say to someone. But I do feel like she needs to learn how to take accountability. Like, she took no accountability in that situation. She let it all fall on Mark. And even when Mark had took her to the fancy dinner and, you know, he was kind of pouring out his heart and he was like, look, I am sorry, you know, if I made you feel like you're not significant in my life, or if I made you feel like you wasn't important to me, or if I made you feel like, however I made you feel, I deeply apologize for it. You know, like, I don't ever want it to come across that I feel that I'm not interested in you or that I don't like you in some kind of way, because she was asking, what are some things that you like about me? She saw it as a dig. I don't think that really was a dig, but of course she saw it as a dig. And he was like, you know, I really do think there's a great person buried deep inside of you. And what he was really trying to say is, you, wrapped in all the chaos, you know, that you bring to the table, I do still see good in you. And so I really, like I said, I appreciate him being the bigger person, you know, wanting to move things along. And how he did it with taking her out to dinner and things like that, and having that conversation with her, which made her feel really appreciated. But I was really hoping for, in that moment, that even if she didn't go into full detail or a full apology, she could at least be like, you know, and I recognize how the things that I say and do can come across to you, and I'll work on that as well. So I wish she could have been more present in that moment and more transparent in that moment, instead of just allowing it to be his moment. But either way, I mean, they seem to be fine with the way things went, or maybe Mark was just being passive. I'm not really sure. But further down the line, if they are going to make it, because they have had a few good days, and unfortunately they're one of those couples, can see the reason why they were matched in some aspects, and I think they'll be an awesome couple if they're able to get past these things. But the one good thing that I've always said about this couple is that they are able to communicate whenever they are having a disagreement or issue or a struggle. They may banter back and forth, but they in general have conversations about their issues, and I think that is one of the most important parts of relationships and marriages, you know, and just things that, you know, I am learning now. You know, no matter how it's going to look on the other side, you need to be able to have those vulnerable conversations. You need to be able to have those open and honest conversations, even if the conversations are going to be uncomfortable, or one person is going to end up taking more accountability than the other person. You know, accountability is big to me because I do believe I'm a big self-reflector, and to be a self-reflector, you have to be, you already see your downfalls in a situation. You can see the areas where you need to make a change, or even areas that you feel like you may have been justified in. So it is hard to be a person, because I feel like I take great accountability. I still have things I need to work on, as I've stated in several videos before, but taking accountability is something I feel like I do well, because I do a lot of self-reflection. And so when I feel like there's a person that's not taking accountability, kind of like how Lindsey was, it really gets to me, especially when the other person is willing to take accountability for what they've done. But anyway, they're talking. One thing I did not like dinner, though, to be honest, is Lindsey is very controlling, and we know that. You know, we've seen that throughout the episodes, but in this episode, I really just seen how controlling she is and how passive Mark is. I was actually watching a TikTok video, and literally this couple was on a roller coaster ride. And starting off, the dude, he was in straight panic mode. When I say he was holding on to the bars like for dear life, he was literally holding on to the bars for dear life, y'all. And before the roller coaster even started, you can tell his emotions was all over the place. You can tell this was not his idea at all. So as the roller coaster starts and as it's going, he's freaking out like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. He was like, why do you always make me do these type of things? These are the things he's shouting out as he's on the roller coaster. So he said, why do you always pressure me to do these things? Why do I always have to do these things? I want to break up. I want to break up. I want to break up. And she's like, well, wait, what? And so from that point when he said, I want to break up, the whole ride was messed up. So the ride is coming to an end. And she was like, what did you say? He was like, I can't do this anymore. He said, you're always making me do these kind of things, and I can't do this anymore. I want to break up. And towards the end of the video, it was kind of like just silence. And as I was watching this episode, when I was watching Mark and Lindsey, I was reminded of that because a person is only going to be able to go so far when they're pushed so far out of their comfort zone. And once they're pushed so far, they become resentful. And did he choose to get on that roller coaster? Yes. And you can tell just because of some of the things that he was saying, like, you always make me do stuff like this, things I'm not comfortable with. Lindsey is always trying to get Mark to do things that he's not really comfortable with. And yes, it's pushing someone out their comfort zone a little bit. Yes, getting them to try new things, absolutely. But it came to the point where Mark was like, why are you always doing this to me? Like, why are you doing these things to me? You know, when she was like, I'm going to order you everything raw. And he was like, you really don't have to do that. You really don't have to do that. And she was like, yes, I'm doing that, and thank you for, you're going to try it, basically. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it was kind of like his face. You can tell he was almost felt tortured. And then it was another comment that he had made. Oh, when they were on their way to the activity, and she said they're going to go skydiving. He was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But then when he got onto the camera by himself, he was like, I thought she was going to try to kill me or something like that. So we can tell by his response that is something that he would not have done. Like, he would have been very uncomfortable doing that. But for the simple fact that he even thought that's what she was taking him, and the response he gave when he was talking to the camera, and he said, I thought she was trying to kill me, that to me said that he was going to do it anyway, even though he was uncomfortable. And that to me is just not okay. I feel like he is allowing her to control him in ways that is going to bring about a downfall in the end. I really do feel that, because like I said, once you push someone past their comfort zone too far, then the only thing they have to do is to break. And unfortunately, I feel like Mark is going to break soon if he doesn't find within himself his voice and start telling her no, because she's the kind of person that's going to need to hear no. And so that's pretty much all I have for that couple. That was a very interesting episode for this particular couple. And the last thing I'm going to say about this couple, I think that it was very interesting at the after party when they did a flashback of Mark saying those things to Lindsey out to dinner. She did tear up, and I can tell that she really did appreciate what he said, just because the simple fact that, you know, sometimes we do take people for granted, and sometimes we do not say the things that is really in our hearts and our minds, you know, either be because we're focusing too much on the negative than the positive, or whatever the case may be. But she was like, this is the first time I actually felt validated by my husband. I actually felt like he cared about my feelings. He cared about me in general. And I thought that was a good way that she put it. And, you know, it's just kind of like a reminder, you know, people are going to feel what they feel. People are going to think what they think. And sometimes it is up to us, the person on the other end, to be able to validate them. And I know I talked about this in my last video that I put out, you know, and it's not always having to have the needs be validated, but sometimes it is nice just to hear, you know, for someone to hear how much they are appreciated, how much they are valued to someone else. So I am glad that she was appreciative of what Mark says, and that she really took it to heart. And I hope that in the next episode that we'll see a little bit of that from her, you know. So the next couple I'm going to go into is Katina and Olajuwon. This was a hard one for me. This one was a hard one for me just because of what we know about Katina's background and, you know, her kind of relationship issues. She was always the other woman. She was never really validated in her relationship. She was never really cared for her relationship. She was never, it seemed like her value was always questioned, because they always did step out on her. So whenever you go through a breakup in general, you always ask yourself the questions, what did I do wrong? Or what could I have done better? You always kind of question yourself a little bit. And I feel like Katina really does like Olajuwon, and I've said this before because she would get so defensive about him, but I feel like because she really likes Olajuwon, she's putting up with a little bit more than what she should be putting up with. I cannot accept the way that Olajuwon was talking to her. Do I believe in being vulnerable? Absolutely. Do I believe in being transparent? Absolutely. Do I believe that you have to have those difficult conversations? Most definitely. But the way that he was talking to her was, in my opinion, completely unacceptable. on his end, he did say that he's been holding a lot of stuff in that he probably should have talked to her about a while ago, and he let it build up. And of course, when you let something build up, the only other way to go is to explode. And unfortunately, he did explode in the moment. But the way he was talking to her, it made it seem as if he was questioning her worth. He was questioning her worth, and he wouldn't even let her speak. That was one thing that I did not like when they was having the first conversation, when they were in the kitchen. And he was, getting on to her about being his other half and being supportive and being a team, and how do I know that you're going to be my better half and support me, and things like that. I can hear the words you're saying, and every time she tried to speak, he would cut her off. Don't roll your eyes at me. I'm being serious in the moment. So completely straightened up, and she's like, I'm sorry. And I just felt like he was talking at her instead of talking to her, and he didn't leave her with no room to respond. And I just think that is so, I don't know, the whole thing kind of caught me off guard. I mean, I know that Olajuwon can be a firecracker just because of other things he has said, and how he was trying to push her all the time. And he was doing really good. I was so proud of him in the last 2 episodes. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. I feel like they're going to make it, and I feel like all this, and I'm not saying that they're not going to make it. I just feel like, once again, he has another lesson to learn. And Katina, I don't think that she's a passive person, but I think because she has been in those positions, and probably in worse positions, that she is really trying to figure out what she wants to say and how she wants to say it. Because when she told him about why she doesn't cry, and the fact that he can enter into another harsh conversation with her and he's seeing her tears, that bothered me. I don't know what it was about it that bothered me. I don't know if I feel like he used that against her. He found a spot within her that he can now pick at. That's how I view it. I can be completely wrong, and I hope to God that I am wrong, because I would hate to think of him as that kind of person. But it was just interesting, and she even said, hey, look, I need a break from this conversation. I applaud her for saying that, and I believe at the after party, Lindsey said the same thing. She said, I can appreciate the fact that she said, look, I need a break. Did he give her that break? No. But I do appreciate the fact that she was able to say, look, I need a break, because she was starting to break down. And I honestly think that she needed the break so she can go by herself to cry. And I wish she would have gave her that break. But also too, it's like, I don't think Olajuwon is really paying attention to how he is saying what he's saying, how it's affecting her. That's my main thing. You can say what you have to say. And it kind of goes back to that saying as well. Sometimes it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. And in this situation, I think it was definitely about how he was saying it. And then even when you look at the previews for the next show, when Dr. Viviana gets there, she's saying, I feel like I'm being attacked. I feel like I'm being attacked, and that I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy in his eyes. And that to me is so disheartening. No man or woman should feel that like they're unworthy in their relationship, because relationship is about two people, not just the one. So if it was just about Olajuwon, yeah, he could have had that conversation all day, but it was about both of them. And we've seen Katina try. We've seen her go to the grocery store. We've seen her in the kitchen. Okay, whatever that mishap was about did y'all catch this? He said, you didn't try hard enough for my housewarming party. That right there stuck out to me. That stuck out to me because it validated the energy I was feeling from him, that it's all about him. And he is trying to school her up as if she is the only one that's on trial. They are both, all the couples. All 4 couples that are on this show right now, they're all on trial for their partner. And I feel like Olajuwon is missing that viewpoint, that not only is he trying to figure out if Katina is his forever, Katina is trying to figure out if Olajuwon is her forever. And the way he is talking to her and the way he's presenting these situations is kind of like, I want to know if you can really level up to my level. It don't have nothing to do with Katina. And that stuck out to me when he said, you didn't put enough effort into my housewarming party. You didn't put enough effort into our housewarming party, is what he should have said. Because it is their home. This is just my personal experience moving in with someone, and not moving into a mutual environment. It can get kind of sticky if the person is always using those I statements or my house, my home. It is very difficult to kind of feel like it is your house, until y'all do come into a mutual spot. And that's one reason why Married at First Sight did what they did when it came to getting them the apartments, because they're now moving into a mutual space. I'm not moving into your space, you're not moving into my space. Now whatever y'all decide to do after the show is what y'all decide to do, but they wanted to make sure that they're moving into a mutual place, and this is both their place, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So for Olajuwon to even say that you didn't do enough for my housewarming party, that caught me off guard. That right there got me, because that shows me that he is being very selfish in this process. I think he needs to be honest about his feelings. I'm not taking that away from him. I want him to be honest. I want her to be honest. And I don't think that she is like I said, I don't think she's passive, and I don't think she's weak. I think she's trying to be mindful of what she's saying, and I appreciate her for that. But I think she's going to have to start speaking her mind a little bit more. And maybe they do off camera. I don't know. We don't know the ins and outs on camera, off camera. We don't know those things. But I would like for her to get a little bit more backbone. I would like for myself to get a little bit while I'm talking. So forgive me, because I ain't trying to, be disrespectful or nothing like that. But, because I feel like I've been in the same position, trying to be watchful of what to say or how to say it. And then when you are kind of a reserved person against a person with a more assertive or aggressive demeanor about them, it does get a little tricky in that aspect. It really does. And so I feel where she's coming from. But on the opposite end of it, I do hope, on camera or off camera, I do hope that they are coming back to each other and having those conversations. We may be seeing Olajuwon in this light right now, but I am hoping, praying that they are having conversations that we're not seeing, and Katina is actually being able to speak her mind and her heart. That is pretty much all I had on that couple. I really hope that they're able to maneuver through this, because I think that they would be actually a good couple if they, if they can fix up a few things. I see, even though he said love is not on the table, I think Olajuwon is scared. And I've been saying that from the beginning, because like I said, he's trying to prove himself, to Katina, and to his family. And I'll put it this way. I feel like he's trying to go from one extreme to the other. He's Playboy, and everybody knew he's Playboy, and now he wants to be husband. He wants everybody else to know he wants to be husband. But now it's kind of like he ain't taking those baby steps. He's like, I'm going all the way in. And the way he was talking to her signifies that he has some growing to do too towards that area. Katina's not the only one that has to get adjusted. She's not the only one that has to grow. He has to adjust and grow as well. And we've already said how he kind of came into this process with a lot of expectations that may not be met the way he wants them to be met. And he's going to have to decide if he's okay with that. But he doesn't have to do it the way he's doing it. If you're not okay with her not being a cooker or a cleaner, okay, that's the realness of it. That's fine. But you ain't got to come across like that. And so that's all I have on that couple. The next couple that we're going to talk about is Michael and Jasmine. Jasmine, she's another person that doesn't take any accountability. And she's kind of very confusing. She's very contradicting. She's like, I want you to talk to me, but you have to do it in a certain way. I want you to be vulnerable with me, and you the one has to be vulnerable, not me. Because I still have not seen yet to where she was actually vulnerable on this whole season. She keeps saying that she want to be able to get to the point to be able to have those vulnerable and transparent conversations. And I have not seen her have one, to be honest. I have not seen her have one. I do love the way she put together the exercise, for her not to be an exercise person. That was absolutely amazing, because that's something that is really big for him. And so I do like how on their date, that, you know, she set that up, and that she did focus on the problem areas within their relationship. And I do like how she did the vulnerable part, and I think that that's exactly what Michael needed. It's not even for the relationship. I think he needed that release, because she said, what are you thinking about? After he said everything he said, you know, it just felt good to cry. And you can tell he has not experienced those emotions very much throughout his life. He shut down pretty much. He started shutting down pretty much after his brother. And then I think he stated every 3 years there's been a significant loss. And so he hasn't been in the position to express those type of emotions in a long time. You know, and they already started off kind of rocky with their communications because of silly stuff, in my opinion. You know, I think she needs to take a good look in the mirror and understand that what she asking of him, she's not giving him, and that she needs to start giving him. If she wants him to be vulnerable, she needs to start being vulnerable as well. If she wants him to talk more, she needs to start talking more as well. You know, she can't dictate everything he says and how he's going to say everything. And when they were on their date, I legit feel like he was asking for direction. For some people, for good communicators, that may have been a dumb question for him to ask. Well, how would you like me to communicate? But if their main issue is communication, that would not be considered a dumb question for him to ask. How do you want me to communicate? And I know you told me that you don't like a tone and things like that, but I need more of a guidance from that. I don't think there's nothing wrong with asking for guidance in relationships. If there's something that I am doing and you're telling me that, hey, you don't like that I'm doing that, and I ask for further clarification, you ought to be able to give me further clarification, because obviously what you have given me so far is not enough. And that's what he was saying. Like, what you're saying to me, I ought to know how to communicate, or is common sense. That's not helping our issue, because obviously it's not common sense to me. And I love the explanation that he gave too. He said, you know what? The way I communicate with somebody may be okay, but it's not okay with you. So now I need to understand what that looks like for you. You know, our background, the way we were raised, in our environment, how we communicate with our friends and our family, that plays a role. And I have been in communication with people where my communication was actually okay, but in this relationship, my communication is not working. So I need you to help me figure out how to better communicate with you. And she was getting an attitude with this man. She was really getting an attitude with this man. And she's like, it's common sense. It's common sense. And I was looking at her like, look, Jasmine, you're going to have to do some self-reflection, honey. You're going to have to understand that you are a little controlling. And her friend even said that. Jasmine was like, he feels like he's always right. And her friend was like, that sounds like you. What? She was so shocked about that. I still remember that. That was so funny, her face. But yeah, she needs to be able to understand that she needs to give what she's expecting. And I love that lesson, because once again, I feel like a lot of times in relationship, a lot of the load is put on one person instead of both persons. It seems to be there's one person who's a little bit more calm and reserved, and there seems to be another person who's more assertive, or you have two people that's assertive, or you have two people that's quiet and calm. And until you find the balance on that, it will forever be a struggle. But I feel like they have within them what it takes for them to be able to move across those hurdles if they choose to. And until Jasmina can put down her defense and try to be more understanding of what Michael is asking, they're going to continue to be in those type of situations. And that's unfortunate, because I really do feel like he was just asking for understanding. I really do. And I feel like that seems to be a common thing among all the couples in this season. A common thing has been communication. Learning how to be effective in their communication, not just saying things, but being effective in their communication. And also Another common theme that seems to be in this season is being able to understand how the things I am doing and the things I am saying, how they're affecting other people, which brings me to Nol Steve. I really can appreciate the fact that Steve was able to really explain to her exactly how her shutting down affected him. And from that, she was able to see the effects of her actions. I really do appreciate that, because sometimes you can be so invested in the thing that you're doing. It can be so habitual, the things that you are doing, that you don't necessarily see the effects of it. And if you've gotten away with it for so long and you come across that person who's not going to let you get away with it, it brings a whole different perspective, which was me also. I have been shutting down for so long, and I finally ran into a person that's like, look, I'm not going to accept it. I can't do this shutting down. And it wasn't until after, I was able to really, I was in Nol's position. I'm like, look, you can't be doing that to people. Like, that messed people up. Like Steve was like, look, you really hurt my feelings. You really hurt my feelings. Like, you had me worried about you. I didn't know what was going on with you. I didn't know what you were thinking, what you were feeling. I just know I wanted to immediately fix it. And you completely shut me out. And from that, she was able to see the love that he had for her. And she was able to really see the effects of her actions. And I wrote that down in the books, girl. Thank you. You helped me out with that one. I wrote that down in my lessons learned book for 2022. But yeah, I really appreciated, her for saying that. And I love the way that she said, she had posted something on Facebook about when, you accept someone into your life, you're accepting their trauma, you're accepting their family, you're accepting, their experiences and things like that. And that is very true, which is why it is so important to be able to have those conversations where you're really getting to know your partner. You're really getting to know them on a different level. I think that is so very important in relationships, and I think that's actually what keeps them going, even if you're together for years and years and years. If you're able to be vulnerable, I think it continues, and it brings about more success within relationships. So I really did appreciate that moment between those two, or the moment that she was describing to the other ladies, and also, like, just in general, this episode, how they allowed the men to get together and the females to get together, just so they can kind of just talk about some of the issues that they were going through. And one thing that I really appreciated Mike for saying is that he was like, look, I'm glad that we're coming together and we're actually discussing issues, because that means that we're actually working through our marriages. That means we actually are putting the work into the process. He was like, if we all came in talking about we love our wives and nothing is wrong, he would think that something's wrong. And I think that is true. The fact that they are having these issues and are having to work through it, because relationships are not supposed to be all good. Yeah, people can learn from good. I'm not saying there's never been a relationship where, there wasn't more good and bad, but the bad times, they do come and they challenge the mind, they challenge your emotions, and it really just allows you to learn more about your partner. And so I really did appreciate how, what Michael had said about that. And also, just with the ladies, it was funny how Katina was like, okay, so this is normal. The things that we're experiencing is normal. I thought that was a cool conversation, just because, this is a very unique experience, but because it is a show about relationships, and most people who watch the show, they have a great, a history of relationships in some sort, it is sometimes easy to get stuck in the mindset, am I the only one going through this? Are we the only couple that's struggling? And so for all of them to be able to say similar things and, be comfortable about the fact, okay, we're all going through something similar. This is normal. This is not something I have to be afraid of or freak out. I just have to be able to work through it and communicate through it better. But I love how all of the couples were able to plan a date for each other. I didn't mention Katina's and Olajuwon's, the actual good part about their day. I think it was so cute they was able to cook together and things like that, because cooking, unfortunately, is so big for Olajuwon, and that's fine. There's nothing against that, but I'm glad that he was able to. He didn't make the little sly comments, oh, let me see what you got, let me see how good you are. And, well, he made the one. He said, if you cook like this, you'll have 3 rings on your finger. But I really like the fact that they were able to, just do that together. It was something they can do together, and it was fun for them, and it was something they both liked, and so it's always fun seeing them go out on dates. And Noi, the way she planned the date for Steve. And now in the after party, it came out that she was like, I thought this was going to take him maybe 30 minutes to do the scavenger hunt, but it took him 2 hours, y'all. It took him 2 hours because he was so dedicated. He was like, look, I'm going to find the treasure. And it was so cute, like when he found her, she was like, you found me. And you can tell that they're very genuine. Both of them are very genuine, and they have a strong like for each other, which I think is absolutely amazing. It is so beautiful to see. And Steve actually said the words, I love you. Oh my gosh, she was like, you do? Like, she was so ecstatic, because we all know, I think it was episode 3, they was asking her questions, and they asked her, do you think you're starting to fall in love? And she said, I think it's slowly starting to happen. And Steve was just like, okay, hold up. I appreciate you telling me this, thank you for letting me know this, but I'm not there yet. And I think that was good of him to say. I'm glad that he didn't just jump in and say, I love you back. And that's not what he was really feeling. So it meant so much more for them to, and the viewers, to see him express his love to her in the right timing. But this has been like I said, it was a triggering episode for me, but it's a lot of lessons, and that's one thing I can really appreciate this season for, is because I really do believe that everything happens for a reason, and everything happen in God's timing. And I just really believe that God has me on a journey that I've never been before. And I feel that within this journey, and just the things that I've learned from this prior relationship, because I have no regrets. I loved the man that I was with. I still love him, but there are times when you have to do that self-reflection, and you have to be able to see within yourself the things that you need to work on. And this is funny because I'm learning these lessons, and I wrote so many things down. I've been journaling like crazy, y'all. Wrote so many things down about just the things that I'm learning. And for them to I'm seeing all the lessons literally within this season with each individual person and each individual couple. Like, I'm seeing most of them, yes, almost like at least 3/4 of the lessons that I've learned, and just also not only that I've learned for me, but learned about love in general, learned about commitment, learned about vulnerability, transparency, and just learning your partner and how to treat your partner, and just also having an expectation of what you desire as well, because my within my situation, it wasn't all, I don't feel like it was all me, and I don't feel like it was all him. I feel like we both could have learned a lot of different lessons. And I don't know, this season is just showing me things. It's like popping off the screen. Like, it is crazy. So I have cried so much throughout this season, but I have also taken so many notes throughout this season. It's just, I cannot wait till Dr. Viviana comes the next episode. So I'm really looking forward to that, because she always has really great things to say to the couples, and they always seem to take so much from when she comes, well, with all the experts. But I'm really excited, because this is kind of like the second time we're seeing an expert, and I feel like we usually see them more throughout the episodes than this season. I feel like this is the least that we've seen the experts in all the seasons. But anyway, I am excited about the next episode, and I hope that you guys, until then, have a blessed and beautiful week, and I will see you next time.